There's a man in Phoenix who wears the same 3 shirts on rotation, drives a beat-up Toyota Camry with a cracked windshield, lives in a house smaller than most people's garages. His co-workers think he's struggling. His neighbors assume he's barely making it. His own family worries about him. He owns 12 rental properties worth over $4 million, and nobody knows. This is the story of how silence became his most valuable asset, how invisibility became his strategy, and how looking poor made him richer than everyone trying to look rich. His name is Marcus Webb, 38 years old, works as a project manager at a mid-sized construction firm in Tempe, Arizona, makes $72,000 a year, not poverty, not wealth, just painfully, brutally average. He clocks in at 7 in the morning, sits in traffic for 40 minutes, eats lunch at his desk, drives home the same route every single day. His life looks like a loop, a pattern, a prison of routine that most people spend their entire existence trying to escape. But Marcus isn't most people. 10 years ago, Marcus was drowning. Not in the dramatic way people talk about on social media. He wasn't posting about his struggle. He wasn't asking for advice in Facebook groups. He was drowning silently, the way most people actually drown. He had $63,000 in student loan debt from a degree he barely used. He had $14,000 on credit cards from trying to keep up with friends who seemed to have it all figured out. He was paying $900 a month for a one-bedroom apartment in Scottsdale because that's where successful people lived, or so he thought. His girlfriend, at the time, drove a brand new Audi, leased, $489 a month. She worked in marketing, made about the same as him, but she looked successful. She dressed successful. She went to the right restaurants, posted in the right places, had the right aesthetic. Marcus tried to keep up. He bought the watches, the shoes, the dinners he couldn't afford, the trips to California that went straight on the credit card. Because that's what you're supposed to do, right? That's what success looks like. Except he'd wake up at 3 in the morning with his heart racing, staring at his bank account on his phone, doing the math over and over, realizing that he was one car repair away from complete disaster, one medical bill away from ruin, one layoff away from losing everything. And the worst part? Everyone thought he was doing fine because he looked fine, because looking fine is all that matters. The turning point came on a Tuesday. Marcus was at a job site, routine inspection, nothing special, and he met the property owner, an old guy named Bill, had to be 70, maybe older, showed up in cargo shorts and a faded polo shirt, drove a Ford F-150 that looked like it had survived a war. Marcus made small talk, asked Bill about the property. Bill mentioned he owned a few others around the valley. Marcus, trying to be polite, asked how many. 17. Marcus laughed, thought he was joking, but Bill wasn't joking. He owned 17 rental properties across Phoenix and Tucson, bought his first one in 1994, never stopped buying. Marcus did the math in his head. Even at conservative estimates, that's millions, multiple millions. And this guy looked like he shopped at Goodwill. He had to ask, why do you still dress like that? Drive that truck. You could buy anything you want. Bill looked at him like he'd asked the dumbest question in the world. Why would I do that? Every dollar I spend on impressing people is a dollar that doesn't make me more money. You think I got here by buying things I don't need with money I don't have to impress people I don't like? That sentence landed like a bomb in Marcus's brain. He went home that night, looked around his apartment, the expensive furniture, the electronics, the closet full of clothes he wore once, the garage parking spot for a car he was still making payments on. He was living someone else's life, playing someone else's game, and losing. Marcus made a decision that night, a decision that would make him look crazy to everyone around him, a decision that would cost him relationships, a decision that would make him socially invisible. He was going to build real wealth, not the appearance of wealth, not the performance of wealth, actual wealth, the kind that exists on balance sheets, not Instagram feeds. First thing he did, moved out of Scottsdale, found a small house to rent in Mesa for $650 a month. His girlfriend was horrified. Mesa? That's where people who couldn't afford better lived. That's where dreams went to die. She left him within a month, said he was giving up, said he had no ambition, said she couldn't be with someone who wasn't going anywhere. Marcus didn't argue, just helped her pack. He sold his car, the one he was paying $412 a month for, bought a used Toyota Camry for $4,500 cash, 10 years old, high mileage, ugly as hell, but it ran. His friends asked what happened. Was he okay? Did he lose his job? No, he told them, just making changes. They didn't understand, and he didn't explain. He cut everything. No more restaurants, no more trips, no more new clothes. He wore the same rotation of outfits until they fell apart. He cooked every meal. Rice, beans, chicken, vegetables. Nothing fancy, nothing expensive. His coworkers started to worry, started asking if he needed money, started treating him differently. He'd become the guy who never went out, the guy who always said no, the guy who was clearly struggling. Let them think that. Let them assume. Let them talk. Because while they were talking, Marcus was calculating. He worked out the numbers obsessively. $72,000 a year. After taxes and his minimal expenses, he could save about $38,000 annually, maybe $40,000 if he pushed. Most people would save that money in a high-yield savings account, watch it grow at 3%, feel responsible, feel smart. Marcus had a different plan. He spent 6 months learning everything about real estate investing. Not from gurus, not from YouTube courses, from actual investors. From books written by people who'd built real portfolios. From city records, from tax assessments, from hours in the county recorder's office understanding how deals actually worked. He learned about house hacking, about FHA loans, about using leverage, about the difference between appreciation and cash flow, about markets and submarkets, and how to find properties nobody else wanted but everybody should. And then he bought his first property, a small duplex in South Phoenix, $185,000. Needed work, needed a lot of work, but the bones were solid, the location was right, the numbers made sense. He put down 3.5% FHA loan, moved into one unit, rented out the other. The rent covered most of his mortgage. He was living almost for free. But more importantly, he was building equity. He owned something real, something that would appreciate, something that generated income. His friends thought he was insane. You bought in South Phoenix? That's not even a good area. You're going to lose money. You're going to regret this. Marcus didn't respond, just kept working, kept saving, kept learning.
Here's what most people don't understand about wealth. It's not built in moments. It's built in years, in decades, in the slow, invisible accumulation of assets that compound over time. Marcus worked his regular job, came home, fixed things at the duplex, learned plumbing, learned electrical, learned drywall, not because he loved it, but because every dollar he didn't pay a contractor was a dollar he could reinvest. He lived in that duplex for 2 years, saved every dollar from his job, saved every dollar from the rental income, lived like he made $30,000 a year while actually making closer to $90,000 when you counted the rent. And then he bought property number 2, another duplex, same strategy. Put a tenant in his old unit, moved into the new one, repeated the process. His family asked questions. His mom worried. His dad didn't understand. Why are you living like this? You have a good job. You should be enjoying life. Marcus smiled, said he was fine, changed the subject. Because how do you explain to people that you're playing a different game, that you're optimizing for freedom, not appearance, that you're building a machine that will eventually run itself and spit out passive income while they're still trading hours for dollars? You don't explain. You just keep building. By year 4, Marcus owned 4 properties, 2 duplexes and 2 single-family homes, all rented, all cash flowing. His tenants were paying down his mortgages, the properties were appreciating, his net worth was growing at a rate that would terrify most people if they actually understood compound leverage. But he still drove the same Toyota, still wore the same clothes, still lived in a small unit, still said no to everything that cost money. His social life evaporated, the invitations stopped coming, people stopped calling. He became forgettable, invisible, the guy who used to be fun but now was just kind of sad. Perfect. Because every weekend they spent at clubs and breweries and restaurants, Marcus spent looking at properties, running numbers, meeting with property managers, building systems. He learned something crucial during this phase, something most people never figure out. Wealth isn't about what you earn, it's about what you keep, and more importantly, what you multiply. You can make $200,000 a year and be broke. You can make $60,000 and be a millionaire. It's not about the income, it's about the allocation. Every dollar has a job. Most people assign their dollars jobs like make me look successful, or help me feel better, or impress this person I'll never see again. Marcus assigned his dollars one job: multiply. By year 6, Marcus had 8 properties. His rental income exceeded his job income. He could have quit, could have retired early, could have finally relaxed. He didn't. He kept working, kept the job, kept the appearance of normalcy, because quitting would raise questions, would make people curious, would break his cover. The invisibility was the strategy. He watched his coworkers buy new cars, bigger houses, take expensive vacations, get promotions, and immediately inflate their lifestyles to match. They made more, they spent more. The treadmill never stopped. Meanwhile, Marcus's net worth crossed $2 million, then $3 million. His properties appreciated during the Phoenix real estate boom. His rents increased, his equity grew. The machine was running, and nobody knew. The guy in the cubicle next to him bought a $60,000 truck, financed for 7 years, paid $800 a month. Marcus said nothing, just smiled, congratulated him. That truck payment, that was another property down payment Marcus would make instead. The woman down the hall bought a house she could barely afford, stretched her budget to the limit because that's what successful people do. Had a housewarming party, everyone complimented her taste, her success, her achievement. Marcus attended, brought wine, smiled, left early. That house was a liability. His properties were assets. He owned a home. He owned 12 income streams. Different games, different outcomes. Here's what Marcus understood that most people don't. Status is expensive. Invisibility is profitable. Every time you signal wealth, you create pressure. Pressure to maintain the image. Pressure to upgrade. Pressure to compete. You become trapped by your own performance. But when you look average, when you look struggling, when you look like you're barely making it, people leave you alone. They don't ask to borrow money. They don't expect you to pick up the check. They don't judge your choices because they assume you have no choices. The invisibility is freedom. Marcus wore his poverty like camouflage, drove his old car like a disguise, lived in a small space like a cover story. And behind that story, he was building an empire. By year 8, he'd refinanced several properties, pulled out equity, used that equity to buy more properties, the classic BRRRR strategy: buy, rehab, rent, refinance, repeat. His portfolio grew to 12 properties. His monthly cash flow exceeded $8,000, after mortgages, after expenses, after reserves, pure profit. He was making more from his rentals than from his job. His net worth crossed $4 million. He owned more real estate than most people would accumulate in 3 lifetimes. And he still drove that same Toyota, still lived modestly, still clocked in at 7 every morning. There was a moment, year 9, Marcus was at a company dinner, one of those mandatory team-building things everyone hates. People were drinking, getting loose, talking about money. One of the younger guys, fresh out of college, maybe 24, was bragging about his crypto portfolio, how he'd made $30,000 in 6 months, how he was going to be a millionaire by 30, how traditional investing was dead. Everyone was impressed, asking questions, wanting tips. Marcus sat quietly, ate his meal, said nothing. The kid turned to him. "What about you, Marcus? You invest in anything, or are you just saving for retirement like a boomer?" Everyone laughed. The old guy, the dinosaur, probably had a savings account earning nothing. Marcus smiled. "Yeah, I've got some investments." "Like what? Index funds?" "Real estate, mostly." "Oh, nice, you finally buy a house." "Something like that." The conversation moved on. The kid went back to talking about his coins and his tokens and his inevitable millions. Marcus finished his drink, went home, checked his portfolio, did the math. The kid's $30,000, that was Marcus's rental income every 4 months, passively, while sleeping, while working, while doing absolutely nothing. But the kid would never know. Nobody would. That's the point. By year 10, Marcus owned 12 properties free and clear of second mortgages. His total portfolio value exceeded $4.2 million. His monthly cash flow was over $10,000. He could quit his job tomorrow and maintain his lifestyle indefinitely. But he didn't quit. He kept going, kept showing up, kept being boring, average, forgettable Marcus. Because here's the final lesson, the real secret, the thing that separates the rich from the wealthy.
Rich people want you to know they're rich. Wealthy people don't want you to know anything. Rich is a performance. Wealth is a position. Rich is fragile. Wealth is anti-fragile. Rich responds to status. Wealth responds to strategy. Marcus had transcended the need for validation, had moved beyond the game of appearance, had realized that true power doesn't announce itself. It just exists, quietly, invisibly, compounding. His 12 properties weren't just investments. They were freedom. They were options. They were the ability to say no to anything he didn't want to do. The ability to live life on his terms. The ability to never worry about money ever again. And all it cost was a decade of looking poor.
There's a deleted scene from Marcus's life. A moment that almost happened, but didn't. Year 7, he ran into his ex-girlfriend, the one who left because he moved to Mesa. She was at a coffee shop, still beautiful, still put together, still driving a nice car. They talked. She asked what he was up to. He gave the standard answers. Still at the same job, still living modestly, still boring old Marcus. She seemed sad for him. Mentioned she was engaged now to a guy in tech, making good money. They just bought a house in North Scottsdale, doing well. Marcus congratulated her, meant it. They parted ways. He looked her up later that night, curious. Her fiancé had a public Instagram. The house they bought was $750,000. They put 5% down. Their mortgage was probably around $4,500 a month. The engagement ring looked expensive. The wedding they were planning looked expensive. Everything looked expensive. Marcus did the math. They were probably pulling in $200,000 combined and spending every penny, living the dream, living the performance. He closed the app, looked at his own numbers, his boring, invisible, silent numbers. He was worth more than they'd be worth in 20 years, and they'd never know. Nobody would. The thing about silent wealth is it requires sacrifice. Not the sacrifice of comfort, not the sacrifice of happiness, but the sacrifice of recognition. You have to be okay with people thinking you're failing, with people assuming you're struggling, with people feeling sorry for you, with being underestimated, overlooked, forgotten. Most people can't handle that. The ego can't take it. The need for validation is too strong. They'd rather look successful than be successful. Marcus chose differently. He chose the reality over the performance, the balance sheet over the Instagram story, the asset column over the liability column. And in doing so, he built something most people will never have. Not just wealth, but freedom. Real freedom. The kind that doesn't depend on anyone or anything. The kind that exists independent of economy or market or job or relationship. He built a fortress, and he built it silently. Today, Marcus is 41, still works the same job, still drives a 15-year-old Toyota, still lives modestly. His coworkers have no idea. His neighbors have no idea. His family kind of knows but doesn't understand the scale. He owns 14 properties now, portfolio value approaching $6 million, monthly cash flow exceeding $15,000, net worth that puts him in the top 2% of Americans his age. And he looks like he's barely making it. Last month, someone at work started a collection for him, thought he was struggling, thought he needed help. He politely declined, said he was fine. They insisted. He accepted the money, donated it to a local charity. Let them think what they need to think. Let them believe what they need to believe. Because in the end, wealth isn't about what people think you have. It's about what you actually have when nobody's watching, when nobody's judging, when nobody's keeping score. Marcus learned something that most people spend their entire lives avoiding. The truth about money, the truth about status, the truth about success. It's all a game, and the only way to win is to stop playing. There's a final scene. Last week, Marcus was at the property he lives in. His tenant from the other unit knocked on his door. Older lady, been there for 6 years, good tenant, always pays on time. She asked if she could talk to him, sat down, said she got a notice from the management company, said the rent was going up $200 a month, said she might have to move, didn't know if she could afford it. Marcus looked at her, this woman who'd been a perfect tenant, who'd never caused problems, who'd helped him build his wealth by paying rent on time every single month for 6 years. He told her not to worry. He'd talk to the management company, see what he could do. She thanked him, said he was a good guy, said his landlord was lucky to have him as a property manager. He smiled, didn't correct her.
Later that night, he called the management company, told them to keep her rent the same. He'd absorb the increase. She didn't need to know. Because here's the thing about real wealth. It gives you the power to be generous without the need for credit, the power to help without the need for recognition, the power to do good quietly. Status wealth needs an audience. Silent wealth doesn't. In a world obsessed with showing, Marcus chose hiding. In a culture addicted to flexing, he chose invisibility. In an economy designed to extract every dollar from your account, he chose discipline. And that choice made all the difference. Not because it made him rich, but because it made him free. There's a man in Phoenix who drives a beat-up Toyota, who wears old clothes, who lives small, who looks like he's struggling. He owns 12 rental properties, makes more in a month than most people make in 6, has more freedom than people earning 5 times his salary. And nobody knows. That's not a bug. That's the entire strategy. Because in the end, the people who need to prove they've made it never actually make it. They're too busy performing to build anything real. But the people who move in silence, who build without broadcasting, who accumulate without announcing, they inherit the earth, quietly, invisibly, completely. And by the time anyone notices, it's already too late. The game is over, and they've already won.